According to my backtester, the McDonald's stock has never not bounced from a Williams R oversold reading. Here's the chart for Coca-Cola. As you can see, it looks pretty good as well. Is this the best swing trading indicator ever? Let's dive in and find out. So before we start, this is not investment advice. Do your own research, etc., etc. And past performance is no guarantee of future performance. So what is Williams %R? So this is a very common technical indicator. It was invented by Larry Williams. There you see him there. The indicator is an oscillator that indicates overbought or oversold conditions. It can be used on any time frame. However, longer time frames tend to be more reliable. So as I said previously, it's an oscillator and will always be between plus 100 and minus 100. If we get a reading of plus 100, that means that the stock is in extreme overbought territory. And minus 100 means it's extremely oversold. So ideally, we want to find stocks that have a reading of less than minus 90, i.e. from minus 90 to minus 100. Incidentally, this is an extremely common signal, so you should never have any problems finding stocks that are oversold according to this oscillator. So let's find out how to display the Williams oscillator on a stock chart. And here I'll be using Trading212. So whatever charting website or app you use, it probably will always have this Williams indicator. So on Trading212, you go to Indicators, and let's search for Williams. There we go. So it's Williams %R. So we've added it, and now it's down here. So really we want to use it on the weekly chart. You can use it on the daily chart, but I've found that the weekly chart signals are a lot more reliable. So you can actually go to the settings here and change the values. So let's go to settings, and really I want to have a reading of minus 90 and let's say plus 10. So rather than default, so this just shows us when it's really oversold. So I would tend to save this as the default. So now we've got minus 90 is the dotted line. So every time the indicator is below minus 90, that shows that it's really oversold. So as you can see, here was a good entry point here. It did subsequently bounce here. And there's another one. There's a sharp decrease here. This is a classic one. Really oversold here. And then it bounced way back up. And that would have been a pretty decent profit. Obviously, it doesn't work all the time. It had a signal here, and then the stock plunged, and it's slowly making its way back up, but that may take a while. So let's just save this indicator, and we can use it on other charts. So just to show that it works on other charts, let's go to there. So this is a UK property ETF, and sure on weekly. So this is a little bit messy, this one, but generally it was oversold around here. It bounced a bit. This one was a good one. So more often than not, it does tend to bounce off these lows. Incidentally, it does a pretty good job as well of showing overboughtness. So here it bounced from oversold, and then it got a bit overbought here. So now we've added it to our stock charts, we need to set up a scanner so we can find some stocks that are oversold. How do we do this? So I found that TradingView is the best for this. These signals are actually reliable. I've been using them in real money trades for several months now, and for at least for stocks, they are pretty reliable signals. They also give you real-time signals, and they work from the market open. There's no apparent delay on the data. TradingView also supports most markets, so the US, UK, EU, etc. It also works on most time frames, although you might have to pay if you want data that's, I think it's below daily data. I think you have to pay for hourly or minute data. Incidentally, it has been my experience that the scanner is not quite so good for ETFs. You can also use my own website, btfdbot.com. This is under development, but it does also have the backtest results for Williams signals, so you might want to check that out. So let's set up a scanner on TradingView. So on TradingView, setting up a scanner for stocks that are oversold is really easy. All you have to do is to add a new indicator here, and the filter name will look for Williams. So it's this Williams percent range technical indicator here. And we want 14, and we'll put it on 1 week. And the 14 is usually the default setting. So we'll add the filter there. And now we need to go back into the filter, and let's see, minus 80 and below. We'll use this first, and then we'll go back in here and go to manual setup and change it to below a value of minus 90. So that indicates really oversold. So what have we got? We have got a few here. Let's just check Verizon, VZ. So I'll go back into my stock trading app, look for Verizon. So there you can see the indicator is pretty reliable because it is very oversold at the moment. As I mentioned before, be a little bit careful with ETFs because you can also scan for oversold ETFs, but sometimes this figure is wrong. Incidentally, so that we only find quality stocks, it's a good idea to set a few of these other things here. So market cap, I like this one, so above 1 billion. The market you can change here. So US, German, Canadian, UK. So change these to whichever ones you want. Dividend yield's another good filter. So I put dividend of over 1.5%. Primary listing as well. And common stocks, we'll just look for that. Another good one is continuous dividend growth. I'll look at another one. ADP, this is a really high quality stock. So again, we'll go into the stock and just double check that it is oversold. Yes, this is a really nice pullback here. I bought this one the other day. It's gone down a bit more, but I'm pretty sure this one will bounce. As you can see before, it had a sharp drop here, then bounced. And there was a bounce here as well, just about got to minus 90. Let's have a look here. Click on here and then long position. Let's see if we'd have bought around here. We could have made up to 39%, so that's a really decent swing trade if we did that. So let's look at some real money results. I've been using this indicator for several months now. So there's a few different strategies. I started off swing trading with 52-week lows, then moved to 50-day lows, and then realized that the Williams indicator might actually be better. And certainly for the Williams weekly, it does seem to be my most profitable indicator so far. And it has a pretty decent CAGR. As I mentioned before, you can use the Williams %R indicator on daily charts instead of the weekly charts. However, this isn't quite as profitable and it has much lower CAGR, so the weekly does seem to be winning. These two indicators, I'll make different videos about those. They're really interesting as well. I also have a lot of backtesting results from the backtester I built last year. So this is some data from 950 stocks and ETFs, and they're from the US, UK, and the EU. And it simulates a target of a 5% profit target from the buy signal. And the average return, which is kind of good for comparing different time scales, that's if you add up all of the wins, all of the break-evens, and then subtract all of the losses. So in the last 10 years, it's had a really good win rate, only about 5% loss, and the average return is 4% from seeking 5%. So that's after you subtract the losses. So it's not too bad in a bear market apparently either, because although our return went down a lot, it was still positive. So it still managed to do quite well in 2008, which is pretty much the worst bear market imaginable. Again, in 2002, the returns went down, but it wasn't too bad. 2002 was another pretty bad bear market. 2009 was mostly a tremendous bull market, and it did really well this year as an average return of 6.4%. 2020 was a very volatile year, and it had another good return rate that year. And all data, this is all of the data in my database, so it has 37,000 signals for the Williams weekly indicator. And overall, it does seem to be profitable. So I'm seeing this with my real money tests. The portfolio is quite volatile, but it does seem to be grinding higher. Incidentally, this is the data for all of the daily signals, so you can see there's a slightly lower win rate, and it does have a reduced average return. I should mention that there could be significant survivorship bias in my data because I only have data from stocks that are around today, so long-term stocks like McDonald's and Pepsi. There have been a lot of failed stocks. Having said that, I tend to only buy very high-quality value stocks, so the actual returns may be lower. However, as you can see from the real money results, I do seem to be doing okay. Let's look at some example trades. So apparently on the 1st of October, I had a good win with Simrise. Let's have a look at that chart. 1st of October. So it would have been about here, probably this green candle here. And I had a 5% profit. Just to check, I'm on the weekly chart. Let's see, so if we bought around here, okay, yeah, so it did go about 10% from the bounce, so yeah, that was a nice little swing trade here. There's also one before, I think I bought this one as well. So we could have made over 12% from that one. Let's look at a daily one. So this is United Utilities. This is a UK listed utilities company. So 3rd of September. Right, so I would have bought around here. And it's been on a rip-roaring journey since then. So I cashed out for about 5%. Yeah, so it's up nearly almost 12% now. So this was a really good one. That was definitely a bottom and it bounced quite quickly. Of course, it's not always that easy with swing trading. Let's look at one that's not quite so good. So 4imprint, this is a UK listed company. So I bought this one on the 20th of March this year. Let's see, where's that? I think it's here. So I bought around there. And since then we've been going down. I don't think I'm down. I'm only down 12%, so it's not too bad. I could almost have broken even, sold out there. So it's probably bottoming. And let's look at one that's well underwater. This is Cody, which we bought in March 2025. Probably bought about here. And then we had a horrible red candle in May. I'm pretty confident that this one has bottomed and probably start the slow grind back up. So how can I improve this strategy? I think the best thing to do is to focus on stock quality. Honestly, I shouldn't have bought Cody. I don't really understand what they do, so I should probably just stick to stocks that I know. This strategy works really well, as do many strategies, when the market is oversold. So during the tariff tantrums in April 25, my trades were 94% profitable. I think I only had 3 losing trades, so that was pretty incredible. I really wish I had bought a lot more stocks during the panic. So to summarize the Williams percent R, with this indicator it's easy to find oversold stocks and ETFs. It's a very reliable indicator with a really high success rate. And it works really well for longer term swing trading on the weekly charts. If you want to see my backtesting results, they are on btfdbot.com. So you basically need to choose a stock. Let's have a look at ADP. So when the stock data appears, you need to click on the Williams weekly here. And this will show all of the indicators, and if you get a green triangle, that means that the trade was profitable. Normally the new ones are work in progress. I expect these will become profitable in a month or two. And you can set a different profit target, but note if you seek a larger amount, it's slightly less likely to achieve it. So 10% we still achieved that for this one. And 20% we got it quite a few cases, but not here or here. So personally, I like to seek a smaller profit target because overall, although you're getting less, you are making more trades. So definitely check my website out if you're interested in the Williams % R trades. I hope you found this video useful. Thanks for watching.